joining, not just nationally. Oh, thank you, Jenny. So it was to let you know that the webinar will be recorded. You are so welcome to use the chat. We really want to encourage you. There are so many of you. I can see that a few of you are international. So thank you very much for joining, because I know the time difference will be a challenge potentially for you. So thank you for joining for that. And we are really wanting to make the most of connections and networking from this session. So feel like you can use the chat. We will put links to some of the speakers and to maybe their websites and to maybe their innovations, so that you can then take a lot of that information forward, because it's an amazing opportunity to see everybody. But because of the time that we're spending on it, it will be quite quick and quite fast. So we'll get an intro.
You've just gone on mute.
You've muted, Tamsin.
Sorry.
Thank you. We're so keen for you all to make sure that you join and connect afterwards, and connect with all the innovators and the innovation friendly hospitals. Because as paediatricians, I see everybody paediatricians themselves and those working in child health and working with children are very creative, they're very innovative, they're working off label, they use games, they use different things to engage their patients. We work hard, and sometimes it's very difficult, and we need to spend time to sometimes look up and look at what we're able to what we're able to see and how we can improve things, rather than just seeing the next patient all the time. And sometimes children's services are underfunded, and that's something that collectively I think we can champion a little bit more. And then we work for children who love digital, they love tech, they love wearables, they're often downloading health apps which may or may not be suitable for them. And there is a rare opportunity for us to actually look cool in front of our patients as we take on these different solutions. And we've got an opportunity to prevent things going wrong, because if we make a difference early on with preventative care, we've got a chance of making a lifetime difference for a child. So we've got a chance then of improving what, not only what comes out, but also their health in a long-term way, but also any £1 put into childcare ends up being the most fruitful economically of any other pound spent in healthcare. And so we also have an opportunity there are barriers, because we don't always know what each other are doing. So this webinar is trying to look at bringing people together, working in a really innovative way, knowing what's out there, not reinventing the wheel, and working that if we share and collaborate, that we can be more than the sum of our parts. And it's so lovely. We've got in our next panel, we've got the representatives from the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health and the Digital Health Solutions and the committee, who are trying to respond in a innovative way to how fast-paced tech is, and how they're thinking about training and guidance. So we're as well as later having panels with very innovative hospitals. But the first panel that we've got speaking is Richard Burley, Nisha Shah, both from the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health, Professor Kathy Beardsall, who's our representative for research and the NIHR, and then Neville Young, Dr. Neville Young from the Health Innovation Network. So if I can hand over to you, maybe first to introduce yourself. Richard, would you be able to introduce yourself and say what your area of expertise is?
Absolutely, will do my very best and try and keep it brief. So yeah, Richard Burley, I'm Executive Director of Digital at the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health. And amongst my hats, my favourite hat perhaps is in the fostering, encouraging and dissemination of innovation, digital technical innovation, particularly for advancing child health. So I'm really excited to be here, excited to talk about it. I think it's the transformational topic for the sector over the next 10 years that's going to drive that increased efficacy and increased ability to see people. So very, very excited to talk about it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you. Nisha, it would be lovely to hear about you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. If I may just share my screen very quickly.
I'd love that. Thank you, Nisha. Thanks.
I'll just do a really quick sort of tour of what we're working on. So yes, I'm Nisha Shah. I'm the Digital Healthcare Manager at the RCPCH. So really I'm here to talk to you about the Digital Health Programme, which is focusing on helping our members navigate, as you all know, an increasingly complex digital landscape. And we want to be sort of providing clarity around the digital solutions that are out there and support our college members to develop their digital skills. So really to support this work, we have recently launched the RCPCH Digital Health Hub, and this is it here. The hub is designed to be a practical resource for anyone working in children's health, really. And really we want to signpost to guidance on digital standards and digital skills training courses. But one specific component that we've just launched a couple of weeks ago in January is the Digital Solutions Catalogue. And this is a curated directory that has been built from suggestions from our members of digital tools relevant to paediatric pathways. So I just want to quickly show you what that looks like. And just to let you know, our members are able to access this through their login. So they can log in here. This is our Digital Solutions Catalogue page. And it's really hosting 50 digital solutions at the moment. And we hope to grow that through our members submitting solutions that can be added to the catalogue. And you can filter through sort of a whole host of digital solution types. For instance, you might want to look at what current health applications there are, and it will filter through and give you sort of a selection, the selection that we've got on here. And maybe just to show you what a solution page looks like, if I just go into our growth chart page, it gives you a brief description of what that solution is. And you're also able to click on the provider information. It'll take you to the provider website as well. So I know that was a really quick sort of look over that, but I encourage anyone that's got access to this to go ahead, look through our catalogue, but also feedback on it as well. So I'm just going to stop sharing there because I know I've got limited time. But very happy to take on questions.
Thank you so much, Nisha. And that's so exciting. I think that such a great first step was because we just didn't know what innovations were out there, what different paediatricians or child health organisations were using. And the RCPCH, I think this is such a great step, and it allows other people, particularly on this call, who might be interested in quality improvement projects or audits, or just improving their patient care, or what could be introduced in their healthcare pathways about what types of innovation other people are using, and what might be able to be used then to improve patient care. I think that it's such a lovely solution, and I know it's been a huge amount of work. Thank you so much for showing us that.
Thank you.
Professor Beardsell, can I just move over to you and to give an introduction to yourself and about your roles?
Yeah, you know I never use that. So it was only a quick couple of slides. One that I'm essentially to introduce myself as a clinician. So I'm a consultant. I spend half my time working on a neonatal unit surrounded by lots of med tech, but also have a research group. And the reason I say that is because lots of the med tech we use is not necessarily designed for babies, or we use it off license. And that's what drove my desire to get into this space. But I'm here today more to talk about the role of the HRC Health Tech Research Centre, for which I'm the co-theme lead of one of the themes, which is the mind and body theme. So if we flick to the next slide, as I know we're pressed for time. Go to the next slide. Excellent. So if you're not aware, I hope everybody is aware that a couple of years ago, the NIHR funded 14 health tech centres across the UK. They're distributed fairly widely. And the aim of these was really to streamline the development and adoption of new health technologies. both for health, but also for the government and industry development. And one of those centres is the NIHR HRC in Paediatrics and Child Health, which is hosted in Sheffield by Paul Dimitri, who I think will be joining us later. And that is broken down into various themes. So if you go to the next slide, this is a sort of overview of what the Paediatric Centre is about. Its real aim is to address what is seen, I think, by many as the challenges of developing medtech for children. I would like to say that with challenges come opportunities. So I think historically industry has often veered away from developing medtech for children because it's seen as high tech and high risk. Whereas actually as clinicians, I think we can help to de-risk things by sharing our clinical expertise and experience to kind of really be there to encourage innovation in the paediatric space. So to try and do that, the centre is developed into sort of virtual themes. There are 3 core themes: early life, which focuses on preterm and brain injury; long-term conditions, which focuses on those core 20+5 conditions, as you would imagine; and transition, which focuses more around the complex paediatric conditions and rare disorders that often have challenges when they're transitioning from adolescence into adult health services. So those are the 3 core themes, but there are also 2 cross-cutting themes. One is the mind and body, which is a combination of saying technology shouldn't just be about technology for technology's sake, but actually it should be about giving a more holistic approach to paediatric care. I think that's really important, particularly in my area in neonates. And then there is another cross-cutting theme, which is around the integration of AI and big data, and that's run or led out of Great Ormond Street. And of course, there is also really meaningful PPI embedded across all of the components of the work. Alongside those themes, there are 2 packages. One, which is looking at training and education. There are a cohort of PhD students that have been funded, and they also have a package of training and education that's not focused so much around the PhD, but more focused around doing a PhD in that medtech space, which is actually very different from doing it in your traditional PhD environment. The other area is around industry collaboration, because we want to encourage industry to think about paediatrics, to come and talk to us. And so we're there to facilitate that dialogue between industry and the clinical experts. So this kind of support we offer in this area is advice from clinicians, a bit of a knowledge centre, access to PPI teams. There's a really experienced PPI group, access to NHS and NIHR infrastructure. So there are a number of other organisations like the Health Innovation Expertise, what used to be the Academic Health Service Networks, RDN. Many of us have a foot in both of those camps, so we can kind of access you, point you in the right direction, research design services, and a number of stakeholders, both in industry, regulatory approval, things like that. Come and talk to us. We'll probably know someone that we can point you in the direction of. So in a nutshell, in a vast nutshell, that's us.
Amazing, thank you. And the NIHR is a good source. I know it's very competitive, but it's a very good source of funding, isn't it, for some of those innovations to kind of get off the ground.
Definitely.
And so exciting. And I know, yeah, Paul Dimitri is going to speak later, but so exciting about that's being acknowledged as a priority area when it hasn't really been before. So, and I know that's the work of so many important people who've spent time getting it to that point. Thank you. That was amazing, and amazing to have to have scaled it down to a few minutes. Thank you.
Trying to squeeze it on one slide.
Yeah, it's very impressive. Dr. Neville Young, you are the representative today for the Health Innovation Network, as Kathy was saying previously, the Academic Health Science Network. So it would be lovely to hear about the HINs and their involvement in this, and particularly around paediatrics. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamsin. Hi, everybody. I'm Nev Young. I work up in Yorkshire for the Health Innovation Network in that region. I'm the commercial director by job title, which means I spend a lot of my time interfacing between industry and businesses and the NHS, and also academics, funders, clinicians, VCs, etc., etc. And our job in the network at my end of the business is really about making sure good quality technology is adopted into the NHS, and that is hard to do. It's hard to build, it's hard to invent, and it's hard to evidence technology, particularly in the paediatric setting. It's really, really hard to get anybody to buy it in the sector. Our job is to help. We do not have a magic wand. We would love one, but we don't have one. So what we spend a lot of our time doing in the network is trying to work with innovators on their journey by signposting them, a little like Catherine said, to agencies who can help them on their way to becoming market ready, for want of a better turn of phrase. We're very lucky in our region. We've got 3 HRCs, and I know Paul will be on later from his HRC in Sheffield. And Paul has the luxury of being about to open a National Centre for Child Health Technology, a £24 million investment into a fantastic piece of infrastructure, really focused on getting it right early in the design and the production of technology to help in the paediatric setting. I think if I'm going to get any message across today, it's to think about how you evidence that your product not only works clinically, but works in the market, so that you're developing a product not just for you and the clinician in front of you, but for the entire market. And I don't just mean the NHS, I mean the global marketplace. One of the challenges in paediatrics is the size of the market. So really thinking about where your product fits in the global marketplace is really important. And to do that really early as well, because investors and indeed grant awarding bodies will increasingly want to understand that challenge. To really think about that as you set off on your journey is important. Then you build your evidence base to back that up. And your evidence base is clinical, but it's also, you got to build a business case. Someone's got to pay for it somewhere. So really understanding who's getting the money that you want now, and how you're going to move them off and put your product in their place because it is better and it is ideally cheaper. That's rare, but that's what we're driving at. Having a good regulatory plan, if you're in either digital or device land, is really important as well. Start your regulatory journey early is the other thing we really say to all our innovators in all spaces. And I think, particularly in paediatrics, because it's such a sensitive area, really getting your data and your regulatory act together alongside your clinical evidence base and your business case is really, really important as well. And a bit like Catherine said, we don't have all the answers in the Health Innovation Network, but we know people who can help you on that journey. It really does take a village to create an innovation at the early stages. And I think that's what the Health Innovation Network, the NIHR, the HRCs are all about. And we regularly hand off into the HRCs in our region and beyond, and also have things handed to us. And I think we want to build on that relationship more and more. Because that's how we get things done at pace, when the right people are doing the right jobs at the right time. And I think at the Health Innovation Network, that's what we're really focused on trying to help you do. We don't get it right all the time. It's really hard to get everything right all the time, but we really want to try and work with you to try and get your market entry right. And if the NHS isn't the place for you long term, help you into a market where you can make the money you need to reinvest into your business, to really make sure that the people who are going to benefit from this really do benefit from it globally. I'll stop there.
Yeah, thank you. No, so many important points, and it's, I think, exciting. You set us up beautifully, because the clinical entrepreneurs that are coming on in a minute, I feel like they are really trying to strengthen that village around the child. And there was a lovely Camilla Kingdon, who was the previous head of the Royal College, who said it's easier to build a child than it is to mend a broken adult. And we've got an opportunity with where the priorities are around thinking about how we can make a difference earlier on rather than just trying to put out the fires later. And in paediatrics, that's a really exciting possibility in a way that other healthcare doesn't have in the same way, potentially. So I've got a very small question for all of you, which is, what do you think the future of paediatric care is going to look like? Because we need to know what the future of paediatric care might look like. We've got the clinical entrepreneurs who are building that future coming on later. But in your roles, which you have that vision and oversight and scanning opportunities, what do you think that the future of paediatrics might look like? And Richard, would you mind if I came to you first?
Absolutely, yeah, happy to. I think it's very exciting. I think one of the things that's particularly acute at the moment in paediatrics is the sheer width of the sorts of technologies that are really beginning to make an impact. And I know you're going to have a number of the hospitals that are looking at those coming into your future episodes, so look forward to hearing those. But and I think the other reflection I'll have is that it seems, I don't know if it's unique, but certainly that paediatricians are a fantastic font for innovation and a fantastic place to start ideas, effervescing with fantastic ideas and an enthusiasm to get them out there. And one of the things that we think is really important around innovation is, so as a general overall theme, is open source. So we're a very big proponent of open source at the college. We build a number of things. We provide NHS Wales with the Growth Chart API that calculates centiles for children. That's built on an open source platform. We've got our clinical audit platform, which does the national, which underpins the national epilepsy and diabetes audits for children. That's open source. So, and I think that, it's good because we've got representatives here of everything from the more commercial kind of pathways to the more open source, and people need to be able to choose the right one for them. And it's good that we've got that whole kind of, I think, that whole spectrum represented. I mean, where to start? I could just say, I could just list off, AI is going to be impactful, and AVT is going to be impactful, and data is going to be impactful, genomics is going to be impactful, imaging is going to be impactful. I think the thing that I would say is, as a college, we're really aware of a couple of things. Firstly, that it's very difficult to build strong technology solutions on infirm foundations, and we know from our members that there's struggles still out there. There's very significant struggles to get what some might consider some quite basic kit. And so one of the things we're really championing with government is this idea of building the firm foundation for innovation, and not just day-to-day kit, but also the underpinning infrastructure for innovation. So we won't name any names in this presentation, but we've had to host, or we didn't have to. We had an opportunity to host some AI imaging research hardware in our data center here, a small data center at the college. And that's because it was going to take the NHS 6 months to provide this particular researcher from a leading hospital with hardware to do their research. So we just provided it immediately for them. They paid for it, they just couldn't get it hosted anywhere. So these sorts, when I talk about minimum kind of technology levels, I'm not talking about a great machine, some great laptops, some great phones. I'm talking about the underpinning infrastructure that's necessary for innovation. People can have fantastic ideas, but they probably haven't got a £15,000 AI structured GPU powered server that they can do research on. And if they can't put it somewhere, they're certainly not going to fit it in their basement like we used to in the old days, because these things make a ferocious amount of noise. So I think that's one of our absolute clarion calls. But in terms of excitement, it's brilliant to start seeing some of these things taking shape. We've been working with Sick Kids in Toronto. You may or may not be all familiar with them. It's sort of Great Ormond Street in Canada. And Devin over there is amazing. He's built an organization called Hero AI, and they're already doing incredible work on managing waiting lists, prioritizing particularly for mental health and acute physical trauma, etc. And already that hospital is entrusting a whole bunch of decisions around who gets seen first from the waiting room, to be processed by AI using just standard data sets that they already collect. So we're already seeing it on the front lines. Alder Hey are doing some fantastic stuff with AVT, and I'm sure you'll be working with them on some of your content. I think that ability to remove the need for fantastic physicians to also be incredible typists is brilliant. I don't think anyone got into medicine to to up their word per minute count when word processing. So really, really excited about what AVT is going to be doing over the next couple of years. And I think moving away from the idea of the physician having to be the recorder of the appointment and allowing the physician to concentrate on the quality interaction with the patient at the time. Very, very excited about that. Really excited about a lot of the things that are going on in wearables, particularly in terms of improving the amount of data that flows through to clinicians, particularly in advance of an appointment, both in terms of live data that can be used to monitor cohorts. You know, when we think about virtual wards, we think about community paediatrics. These are things the government's very excited about. When you synthesize those together, what you're really going to be able to do if you get consent, of course, is have a live dashboard of where your patient is at any one moment, and of all the patient group that you're looking after or your unit's looking after, the database, wearable fed database systems that are using AI to analyze it will be able to say, by the way, we think this child is a week away from an acute episode. You need to get them in now. These do them in this order, these 5 patients in a row. These are the ones that are now trending really badly on wearables in terms of the biometrics and stuff. So this idea of prevention coming in before, rather than just responding to acute episodes, being able to prevent them. And of course, key to all of this is making sure that the patient and parents are part of that journey, so that all the information visible to a clinician is visible to them. We hear time and time again from our 2,000 children and young people volunteers at the college that they want to be really intimately involved in the journey. They want it to be a collaborative journey of health, not a student-teacher relationship, not a sort of authority figure and beneficiary relationship, but they want to be informed, they want to be included, they want to be cited on it. And technology is going to enable us to do that even more as we go forward. I could happily take 3 hours to tell you about the excitement I have around innovation in paediatrics. I'm going to let my very, very learned colleagues have the floor. If there's time, I'll come back and say some more.
Yeah, amazing. Well, we're hoping there might be time at the end, but I think thank you, because what we're interested in is that excitement and interest around what's possible. And as you're so right, it's every single area of healthcare that could be impacted. And so these lovely, and I can see in the chat there's some lovely people starting their careers in paediatrics. It's going to be very different from how in how it was for us, and people my age need to know and embrace some of it as well, so that we can bring that through. But it looks so different, and the Royal College is doing some really exciting things. One of the first Royal Colleges to have a digital health committee, and that open source, I think, looking at international collaboration and compassionate innovation, I particularly makes me want to engage with it. So if there is anything that you can put that anybody else might want to look at, or websites, then that would be amazing. Yes, we are horribly running out of time, so I'm just going to...
I will say one thing before I shut up, which is open source doesn't mean you can't make money from it. It's more about democratizing the access to technology. So let's not confuse that with some kind of donation into the sector. You can still make money from it. It's just a general technical approach. Sorry, thank you.
No, good point. That there are different business models, aren't there? Quite right. Yes, if I could quickly just ask, like Kathy, I know you covered quite a lot of it, because you talked about some of that core 20+5 and those types of priorities. Is there any area that you're particularly excited about, maybe around neonates?
I think everything's exciting, as Richard said, but I think for us as paediatricians, we're really the areas of wearables and a hospital at home. For paediatricians, it's a given. You've got carers at home that want to have patients at home. I think there are opportunities there, and opportunities around prevention that we're uniquely placed to really make the most of. But I think we just also have to make sure that some of the technologies for wearables and for the machine learning and AI technologies collects data that's relevant to paediatrics, because there's a real ease for a lot of this technology to being developed, great for the worried well sitting at home. And we've got to really advocate that we are a population that actually could really use this, and there's a real opportunity if people want to invest in paediatrics, because the care is there. We want it. So go to...
Thank you. Amazing. Nev and Nisha, if it's all right, I'm going to move over to our wonderful innovative hospitals. Of course, please would you, because I think the for people being interested in what the health innovations offer, how they can connect with health innovation networks, if they've got ideas, and also Nisha, around the digital solutions catalogue. So if there's anything that could be added to the chat for people to look up, then that would be incredible. And hopefully I'm going to try and come back to you in a minute, but in a slight hope of trying to finish on time. I'll move over to the most amazing panel, and we're so incredibly fortunate to have these people joining us, because we've got a panel around innovation in action in paediatric settings, and very fortunate to have people really moving the dial on this over the last few years and trying to connect up so to allow all of us to understand what's happening in different areas of the UK, and of course that means that there's interest internationally. We have Professor Paul Dimitri. Professor Paul Dimitri is from the University of Sheffield, Professor of Child Health Technology. Professor Ian Hennessy is the most amazing founder and clinical director of Alder Hey Innovation, and also on Alder Hey Children's Hospital, working as a paediatrician and neonatologist as well. And then we have the wonderful Nick James from Partnerships Project Manager at Great Ormond Street, and also Dr. Kelsey Graber from Cambridge Children's Hospital. And I know that there are some amazing people who have joined the webinar who aren't speaking today, but thank you for joining. I know that you have things and that you might, and thank you for introducing yourself in the chat, because wonderful to be able to have people. So can I go, just so you can introduce yourself and talk about where you are in this area? Can I introduce Professor Paul Dimitri? Would you be able to do your own introduction first of all?
Sure. Thanks very much, Tamsin. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm just, I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully you'll be able to see this now. So can you see that now? Great stuff. Okay, so thanks very much, Tamsin, for the introduction. It's great to be here on the panel. Apart from Professor of Child Health Technology, I'm also a clinician, so I'm a paediatric endocrinologist at Sheffield Children's Hospital. I'm going to be really brief about this. This is a rattle through of basically about 12 years worth of work in about 3 minutes. So let's see how I go here. So with this journey started off back in 2014. We formed a network, and I've seen Nev on, and thanks very much, Nev, for the shout out. We started with the TITCH network, Technology, Innovation, Transforming Child Health. We set this network up really to bring in key hospitals to support the development and adoption of child health technology, knowing that it was a fragmented landscape. And the shout out back to Nev is what was previously the Yorkshire and Humber Academic Health Science Network supported us starting this with £50,000. And within 3 years, we'd leveraged £6.2 million of funding for child health technology through working with funders. And from there, what happens is when you get that sort of money coming through and you're trying to coordinate a network, as you get really busy. And so we needed to formalize this. So we applied for funding to NHR to form one of the 11 medtech and in vitro diagnostic cooperatives. And we were successful. We got just over £1 million worth of funding to support the development of NHR SIP Medtech, the Children and Young People Medtech Cooperative. In 5 years, well, I say 8 years, with the TITCH network and then NHR SIP Medtech, we had leveraged over £50 million of funding for child health technology. Part of that was £27 million generated by our industry partners. We'd leveraged £17.1 million in funding, and then there was some other funding coming in from different sources as well. We were really busy, worked on 180 projects, 56% had included an industry partner. We'd supported 13 PhD students. We'd done a lot of work with children and young people on the premise that no technology that we work with, or every technology, I should say, that we work on or whom we work with has to involve children and young people. And we had been significantly busy in other areas, as you can see from that slide. And Kathy has saved me a remarkably challenging job of trying to present the NHR Health Tech Research Centre in Paediatric and Child Health. But this was a successful application that came from our initial platform, NHR SIP Medtech. We applied for further funding to become one of the 14 health tech research centres, us being the Health Tech Research Centre in Paediatric and Child Health. And with all the work that I've done over many years, it's not one centre, but it works as a collaboration. So everybody plays their part in supporting the development of child health technology from birth right the way through to 25 years in multiple different areas with multiple and diverse different skill sets. And Kathy's already spoken to you about the HRC and Paediatric and Child Health. We also launched the first Child Health Technology Conference in 2021. This was the first of its kind in the UK, and we believe one of the first of its kind in the world. And we've since had 4 of these CHT conferences, 21, 22, 23, and 25. And we've had remarkably good feedback. But what's been really great about this is we brought a child health technology community together on a global perspective. We've had over 600 delegates and 170 speakers from 33 different countries. And then finally, and this was Nev's shout out, and this is really a decade's worth of my work to get to this point. In 2016, I had this idea to build a National Centre for Child Health Technology. And through a lot of hard work and determination and working with a lot of incredible people, we managed to get the funding. And the total funding was £24 million. This is pretty much what it looks like at the moment. It's almost built. It's not got the cladding on the outside yet, but we need to put stuff on the inside as well. But you can now walk through the building, and the plan is for this to be open in June, and for us to really open our doors properly for activity in September this year. The rationale behind this is to bring universities, industry partners, investors, healthcare professionals, and most importantly, and right at the centre, children and young people, to develop the best and most advanced technology in the world. And this building will not work in isolation. We will, of course, work with our other partners and colleagues across the UK and internationally to really make this truly a national and international offering for child health technology. And just to finish, I mean, this is really our focus from a commercial perspective and an industry perspective, the idea is for the NCCHT to help me take my innovation further, faster, and by de-risking the journey from initial idea to a proven clinical solution for children and young people. So ultimately, that decade or more's worth of work has been the focus of developing the best and most advanced healthcare for the children and young people that we look after. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul, because there's something interesting about this particular moment in time, because you're talking about the decade culminating in the decade of work that you've done. We're going to hear from Professor Ian Hennessy in a minute about he's coming up for his 10 years as well, and the Clinical Entrepreneur Programme. And there's something about that period of time from innovation to getting something launched, which takes around that amount of time. So this is so exciting, and Cambridge Children's are just being built. And so I think that there's something very exciting about technology right now. And I know that that's something that the RCPCH, the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health publication, are going to be focusing on this year as well. So yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Paul, and congratulations on everything that you've achieved. You were still on mute there. But don't worry, Paul. I can move over. I know it might be Zoom. I'll move over to Professor Hennessy from Alderhay. Professor Ian Hennessy, are you okay to give us a roundup about what's happening in Alderhay?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I still find the professor thing quite amusing. Right. Okay. So I'm Ian. I'm one of the surgeons at Alderhay. We've got this innovation hub underneath Alderhay Children's Hospital. I don't know how many of you have been here, but we genuinely are underground here. I don't know if you can see it. This is a model of our hospital, and we are underneath one of the wings here. And it's about 1,000 square meters. I don't know if I can try and get it into the camera view. It's a bit empty at the moment because everyone's gone home. Well, not everybody. Actually, it looks like one of our lawyers is still in the in the kitchen. One of the things which I think is really important about innovation is that a huge amount of it is failure. So at the front door on the way in, we have our museum of failure here, which is all the prototypes of things which didn't work, or like a business disaster, or didn't quite get off the ground, or a really good idea, but maybe just wasn't the time for it. From new types of neonatal cots to
neonatal cameras which didn't work, to child high alcohol dispensers, to what else was it? This copper nanoparticle coated Peppa Pig toy, which is antiviral, but we weren't really sure about the toxicity profile, so we thought maybe we shouldn't put that into the ecosystem. But basically, what we have here is where we eat, where a lot of the main business goes on here. That's the branding of the Innovation Hub. Our kitchen, very important. And then a thing which is really close to my heart, which fits with failure, is that innovation is about prototyping and just trying things, and being okay with the fact that it might not work the first time. So my favorite bit of the Innovation Hub over here is our rapid prototyping center. And I think this is really where most innovation starts, and just having a go. So we have, very basic tools and whiteboards and 3D printers, and looks like quite a lot of sugar that's been left on the table. But that's really important. And then over here, I'll start with, we have where everybody sits. And what's happened with the Innovation Hub is that we found that it's better to get a collision space. So we have our innovation team, which sits over here. We have part of our digital team that sits over here, part of our AI team that sits over here, and part of our transformation team. Because there's no point coming up with good ideas and prototypes if you're not actually going to get it implemented into practice. So you need to have this sort of thing. So we just got a delegation leaving. Sorry, that by you guys. Sorry. No trouble. No trouble to say about it. All right. Sorry. So this is our main teaching room. So we do quite a lot of work on trying to get innovation methodologies into the hospital and training people up. So yeah, so we started in 2014, and this hub's been open for about 10 years now. And I'm not sure what happened in 2014. Something definitely happened in 2014 because so many innovation units around the world kicked off at that point. We've got what happened at Paul over in Sheffield and Titch and everything else over in America. Children's Hospital Orange County also started their innovation team up there as well. And I have found in general that paediatric hospitals do tend to be more innovative than adult hospitals. And I don't know if that's because we're used to playing and we're used to making a fool of ourselves in front of children, and we're used to just, making do and trying to get these things out there, that it does seem to be quite a fertile zone for it. So yeah, so that's what we're doing at Alder Hey. And we're now moving into a new era with this thing called the Paediatric Open Innovation Zone, where the Liverpool City Region have given us what's going to be in total about a £9 million project to make Liverpool one of the most attractive areas to do paediatric health tech. Mm-hmm. Cool. I'll stop talking because I could just talk all day, as you can tell.
No, but thank you so much. It's so great to see the actual layout of where you could be creative and where you could think about all of those solutions the way that we would, as you say, we're used to off-label, we're used to playing, we're used to being flexible around how we do childcare. And so we've got that creativity. It's really interesting to look at the breakdown of like people involved in child health often have really high kind of their emotional intelligence, and what's needed for the whole family is often in consideration. So to be able to see what it might look like, where people could be, is amazing. And to have sat everybody very purposefully in a way that means that you can put tech and AI and the people being able to create in one space is incredible. Thank you so much for giving us a walk around. Love the Museum of Failures. I have my own things to add to that. It's incredible. If we have time, I will definitely come back because there's so much I want to ask you. But I think what's important for everyone on the call is to understand that these are in place, that there's now these environments for people to be able to be creative and innovative and really move paediatrics to where we see it, to where Richard Burley was talking about how we could see paediatrics. So just be enthused and motivated to understand more and go down the rabbit holes of understanding more about what these hospitals are doing. I'm just going to come straight on to Nick. Nick, I know you have done the most remarkable work at Great Ormond Street. I know you have some incredible resources, and I feel that other people need to know about what you're doing too. Are you able to introduce yourself and say the bits that we need to know about your work?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to share some slides, try to anyway. So very, very timely following on some of the other discussions we've had. Hi, I'm Nick. I'm from the Drive team at Great Ormond Street, which is the innovation hub of Great Ormond Street. And as been mentioned, AVT, ambient voice technology, is quite an emerging field within healthcare. So Drive was tasked by NHS England to do an evaluation of this over the last couple of years. There's a lot of information here, which I'll put in the chat as well, so I can skim through as much of it as possible. If it would like to go forward. But for those of you who don't know what AVT is, it's a tool that works in the background to produce a transcript based on a discussion that the clinician's having with a patient, and then produce a summary of that. And the summary can be curated and personalized by each clinician. So each clinician can have a certain style, and also across specialties, because we do know that every specialty is a different conversation having with a patient. And it was really crucial for us to test this at Great Ormond Street, particularly in a pediatric setting where you might have 5 or 6 people running around. You might have children banging on tables, running around, screaming. So it was really important to show that if it could work here, it could work everywhere. We went through a multi-phase approach, which took 3 years, a very long time, just about finished last year, running through a number of phases to test it first in a simulated environment, but then also working with real patients as well to really test that it could work in practice. Obviously going through the whole compliance and governance, which a lot of people mentioned on the call today, which is really the time-consuming factor of a lot of these innovation projects, is making sure that you're safe. But once we've done all that, we got some funding from NHS England, like I mentioned, to do a multi-site evaluation of ambient voice technology across a whole number of sites in London. So Great Ormond Street being the Paediatric Centre, a couple of adult hospitals as well in Kingston and UCLH, but also looking at mental health, GPs, and the London Ambulance Service, which we always thought would be chaotic when we started, but actually was one of our most successful evaluations. And we ended up, unfortunately, tripling the amount of encounters we promised we would do, which is always a nice change to have. So we actually evaluated 17,500 encounters across all those sites. The main ones actually being within Crossland's GP surgery, London Ambulance, and the A&E department at George's. But what does this all mean? What's the actual benefit of it, and why is this useful for hospitals, not just at Great Ormond Street, because we don't want this to be just for Great Ormond Street. We want to share the learning we've done with all the other sites. And these are just some of the example findings we've populated from the report. And as others have mentioned on the call, the whole point of ambient voice technology is to take away that admin burden from a clinician who doesn't want to be typing notes, but unfortunately has to because of the documentation needed in EHRs, and actually just focus on the appointment they're having with the family, and really trying to engage with them. And what we found was so alien is sometimes a parent might say something distressing about a child, and the first thing a clinician do is turn away and look away and make sure they take a note of it. And it's a quite alien feel to what should be a humane interaction between a clinician and a family. So we found a really massive increase in what we call direct care, so complete interaction, face-to-face consultation between a clinician and the family. We did see a reduction of time just because the clinician could just focus on talking, knowing that the tool was running in the background, collecting all the notes. Across lots of different sites, we saw a massive increase in patients seen in A&E, but also the most important factor is the reduced cognitive loads. So we ran lots of surveys with staff, and the best thing we could hear was clinicians able to go to the pub at 5 o'clock with their friends and really try to de-stress from the day, try to regulate. And we know that a lot of clinicians are feeling overwhelmed. note taking is a big factor of it because of how much time it takes. So really just giving clinicians that brain space to recover after maybe a taxing day. But also, if you take that time away, there might be time for them to focus on more innovative projects about the hospital. So really just freeing up that time to do certain things. And there's a lot of information I'll share and some links about all the data we've collected because it was a very lengthy document we submitted to NHS England on our systems. What we also did, and why this is important, is we want this to be rolled out hopefully across all centres in the NHS. There's no reason why it can't. Obviously, it needs tinkering, and each centre needs to go through their relevant compliance. But we've laid out the framework for how this should be carried out and who has responsibility to do these actions. And so we've helped NHS England also publish some guidance on the adoption of ambient AI, which is all available, and really trying to just get all centres to catch up on all the work we've put in and make sure they don't have to reinvent the wheel, as Tamsin mentioned at the beginning, and really just almost crack on. We've done the work, we've showed it's effective and can be useful. So there's a lot of links in here, which I can share afterwards on some of the papers we published as well as the main AVT report, which has all the findings. There's also a really nice playbook in there, which is particularly useful for people on this call about how to adopt technology in the NHS. Who do you need to involve? How do you roll these things out? How do you engage with companies? How do you engage with IT? How do you engage with the governance teams at hospitals? And really try to get things moving as quickly as possible, because we do know things can be logged down sometimes just for all the hurdles we have to climb through. And where we are now, so we're very fortunate to have this mentioned in the 10-year plan last year, which was a massive achievement for everyone at Drive. We've published a number of academic publications about that as well. We've helped to develop a framework called TEST, which is available on the NHS website, about how to evaluate technology coming through and making sure it follows the same framework and it's safe. But also we saw the value of AVT in the whole, and we've now rolled this out at Great Ormond Street. We started in October of last year. We've trained about 300 users across the site so far, mainly in outpatients, as that was the majority of our evaluation. But we're now rolling it out to other areas as well, such as inpatients, ward rounds, MDTs as well, because we know there's a lot of document writing that happens outside of outpatient appointments. And by freeing up as much of that space as possible, we're really trying to reduce that clinician burnout and give people more time back to actually focus on what they want to do, which is look after patients and try to work on improving how those are carried out. I'll stop sharing there. But
that was an incredible. Thank you so much, and thank you for that, for pointing towards those resources and the work that you've done, and also the data that came out of that lovely project around ambient voice technology, and how then it contributed not just to what was experienced by patients, but the well-being of the clinicians too, and those wonderful wins that just have such a kind of holistic positivity to them. It's great to be able to see that. Yes, I agree with the clapping hands. That's great. Thank you so much. And I know, and thank you for your generosity in sharing. I do think that we often, as a specialty, are good at collaboration, and I think that we can be greater than the sum of our parts when we do that. And so it's just so exciting to hear about those projects that we might not easily hear about. So I know that everybody's very dedicated, and it's been a huge amount of work for you over that time, and great to have it acknowledged in those important publications too. Sorry to move on. Already it's to Dr. Kelsey Graver at Cambridge Children's Hospital. It would be great to hear about the work being done there and your role.
Thanks very much, Tamsin. I suppose we're in a really nice position here as a different kind of hospital, because we are not yet a hospital that's built. We're still in development. So we're hoping to really be able to hear from some of the clinical innovators on this call. And there's a couple of members of my team here to listen in and start to think more about how we can be building things over the next couple of years, rather than trying to demonstrate anything that's yet established. So I'll just do a very brief whistle-stop tour of where we are with the Children's Hospital. Hopefully that's come up okay on the screen. So this is an architect's demonstration of what our hospital will look like in a number of years' time. And as I said, we're still in this development process, but really getting closer than we've ever been before, which is incredibly exciting. And what we're hopeful for is that our hospital, if I can move this along, provides an innovative view of what child healthcare can look like in and of itself, in its vision. So this hospital will be bringing together physical and mental health and research in the same space, bringing together the pediatric services in our acute trust at Addenbrooke's Hospital, the pediatric and the child and young adult services at the Cambridge and Peterborough Foundation Trust for Mental Health Services, and also research from the University of Cambridge, all in the same building. And that's really how we're hoping to make sure that this hospital is trying to deliver care in a whole new way. And that's really what brings us to our vision for the Children's Hospital. So there's a couple of different pillars of this whole new way in which we're trying to deliver care. The whole child approach really focuses in on that connection between physical and mental health. We know we've seen a huge increase in instances of complex mental and physical health conditions and the way that they can influence one another. And our goal is to create a space, a specialist children's hospital, where children and young people don't have to travel multiple miles and long distances between different clinical care specialties to get the care that they need, to not just care for people and to care for people as individuals and not just their illnesses. That's really important to us. And part of this whole child approach is also thinking about how we pay attention to things that are very important to children and young people's lives, like their education, their schooling, and play and child-centered formed approaches to not only how we design the building, but also how we educate our staff and create our service improvements over time. The whole community part of our strategy is about us becoming a regional specialist center for the East of England. We're currently the only regional region in the UK that doesn't have a specialist children's hospital. So that will be a massive improvement from where things currently stand, but we have a lot of work to do our work of engaging different clinicians in the region and understand the pathways that children and young people are traveling to access care in order for us to help implement what's in the NHS 10-year plan of care closer to home. So that's a lot of work being done on our part with regional advisory boards, and also a huge amount of work done by our co-production and engagement team to listen to children and young people's experiences of what it's like to receive care in multiple different places and to have to travel to Cambridge or to London to receive the care that they need. The whole future aspect of our strategy is starting to touch on a lot of the things that have been focused on already on this call, but thinking about how we can harness the power of the research that's at our doorstep with the University of Cambridge to think about how we bring that into the building and start to really embed pediatric research as a strength of our center, and bridge that gap from bench to bedside research by bringing researchers much closer to our, not only the local hospital population that's coming into the center, but also better connected to these DGHs and different clinicians and clinical pathways across our region. And then finally, we have a whole picture aspect of our vision, which is really trying to position ourselves in this massive resource of the Cambridge Biomedical Campus, which includes AstraZeneca, biomedical research, maternity care, cancer care, and the like, and really trying to think of where we're thinking about health, child health across the lifespan and across the research and innovative clinical space. We have so many opportunities that we can really probe over these coming years of development. So where we stand as a hospital at the moment is we're currently finalizing the design and working toward the submission of our full business case and the submission of a Building Safety Act, which is new after Grenfell Tower, and we're the first hospital that's going to have to go through that program. So it's a bit of an unknown for us. But then after that point, we'll be able to transition into how we think about transforming our services and actually transitioning services from one building to another alongside construction over these coming years, which is just a period of time that is so ripe for innovation and opportunity. And one of the main ways I just wanted to highlight this, something that we're already engaging now, is what's called our Front Runners program. And this is a way that we're investing in the staff in our hospital and trying to embed them in clinical innovation. So this is a program where staff come together as multidisciplinary cohorts. They come from both the acute and the mental health trusts, and also from community and regional services around the east of England. And we invite them to think of a challenge or area of improvement that they're currently facing in their service, and then come together across teams, across networks, across disciplines to think of ways of addressing these challenges that could affect services now, or do some data collection for innovation now, and ways that we can continue to build on these ideas to gather change and garner these new ways of working from within, and really empower our staff to be those agents of change now, and encourage them to be a part of our building as alongside the construction of the actual hospital. So hopefully there's a lot of ways that we can have a hospital that's built on the engagement and expertise of the people who know our services best. And that's something we hope to really leverage over the coming years as more and more staff get involved as we go through this process. I'll stop there. Thank you so much.
Incredible, and such an amazing opportunity to be building a hospital and being able to incorporate it so that it can reach. And I know that one of those areas is around that integration of mental health and physical health as a priority, isn't it? Yeah. Just as a very quick, as a very, very quick fire question to all of you, if there was sort of an area of biggest impact, maybe that is for you, at Cambridge Children's. Is there an area of impact that you think will have the biggest difference in paediatric services? Is there an area that you're particularly looking at?
I would say it might just be because it's in my mind. I think a lot of our other speakers focused a lot on the amazing advances that we have at our doorstep around digital technology, AI, and all of the things coming down the pipeline. And we have a great digital program manager who's really focused on those things within our team. But in truth, one of the things we're most excited about, and one of the things that's most important to actually foreseeing our vision, is that piece, actually, you touched on it already, Tamsin, around collaboration and getting our staff and people across the region actually involved and feeling like they can champion innovation moving forward. I think we all know that a big piece of adopting new innovation is about changing culture, and we can't do that on our own. We can't have innovation that people don't adopt, and they need to believe in it, and they need to know that it will be impactful for them. So I think one of the biggest things for us is making sure that children and young people and families and our staff are on board and feel like they're a part of this transformation. Otherwise, we'll provide innovations that won't get picked up. So that's really part of our process that I think will be one of the most transformative things we can do.
Yeah, so clever. Yeah, and such a lovely piece of work. Thank you so much for that. Nick, I don't know if I can come to you about, is there something that Great Ormond Street is next thinking about? What's the next thing after ambient voice technology, or is it still around embedding that?
No, we've long moved on and trying to challenge ourselves in much more stressful ways, unfortunately. So yeah, I mean, lots of focuses on AI. A big focus at the moment within healthcare is agentic AI, so agents who could help to take away again some of the admin burnout, not just from clinicians but throughout the trust, and try and get some of those processes automated. Although that comes with a lot of challenges and risks. So again, with all these AI projects and programs we're working on, it has to be safe and secure, and so going through the same process of evaluating them. I think personally for me is more from the data perspective. So there's so much rich data across the NHS for paediatric patients, but it's also siloed. And so we're doing a lot of work with lots of centres across the UK to try and connect those data points, which will hopefully give a lot more information to researchers, because there's not so much research in paediatrics, particularly around data, but also in actually improving clinical care and a day-to-day activity. So having all that data and making it accessible to clinicians so that they're able to see how maybe children with very rare diseases are fared all over the country from certain conditions, and maybe try to tailor treatments based on how other patients in that cohort have fared in the past. So lots of really interesting work, but I think data is one that we're almost there, and there's so many interesting things.
Yeah, lovely point. Thank you very much for coming back to that, actually, because that's going to be very exciting, I think, in the future, isn't it? Ian, if I know that you're in your innovation zone currently, but is there something you're particularly excited about?
I suppose it's something that I'm a bit worried about, is that with all the new technologies coming in, it does seem to be the richer you are, the more likely you are to get it. And given that I think the technology in the way that it's going to be, impacting the health is going to be a massive thing, it would be terrible if we started to have, a digital divide as well as a wealth divide. So your AI is better than someone else's AI, or they don't even have an AI. So therefore, you don't get your appointments, you don't get in to see your GP, you don't get the optimized algorithm, you don't get pushed to the front. So what I would really like to see is that instead of technology widening health gaps, using technology to narrow health gaps. So, if we could concentrate on something, that's one of the areas that we're concentrating on, because Liverpool is a very deprived area. And when you look at the deprivation maps and the heat maps, Liverpool just glows red from a deprivation point of view. So I'd love to get an AI for good agenda going. The other thing that we've really been concentrating on is just making things easier and improving how the hospital and the health system works and optimizing it. So I'm a massive fan of ABT. I use it in my clinic. It just makes my life so much better. We now have it for every single clinician, trainee, and consultant, and every member of staff has access to Ambient now. And it just makes life just so much easier. You leave clinic not feeling emotionally drained. And I actually found out, and this is terrible, this is absolutely terrible, there's a condition which I actually normally used to get a heart sink about, which was constipation, when it turned up in a general surgical clinic. And it turns out I actually like the consultation. I just didn't like typing it up afterwards. So, because it just used to take me so long and I'm a rubbish typist. Whereas now, I'm like, I actually quite enjoy this conversation. So I think it makes us more human. So yeah, that's the two things.
Interesting that it makes you different in how you can then approach different clinical care. Ooh, that is really interesting, really interesting. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And anything that you've got, all of the speakers that you can push other people in the chat to resources so that they can look at further information on these particular projects. Professor Dimitri, what's the most exciting thing? You've got a lot of exciting things, particularly in June. Is there one thing in particular?
Well, apart from the big thing in June, which is National Centre for Childhood Technology. So a couple of things, and possibly maybe to build on what the other speakers have said. The first was touching on what Kelsey said, which is this opportunity for collaboration. What is great about this forum and multiple different other fora is that we're all coming together to collaborate. There's some great centres around. We've got the things that are happening in Sheffield Children's Hospital with Alder Hay, there's Drive, there's Cambridge Children's Hospital, there's work going on in Cardiff as well. There's the digital work at the RCPCH, there's the international stuff with KidsX, i4Kids, ETRI, and investors. There's so much going on, and I think the important thing here is to work collaboratively, because actually the strength is going to be by us all working together and not to compete against each other. In terms of the technologies itself, if I sort of took a slightly different slant to this, which is a policy approach, which is this idea of hospital to community and treatment to prevention, and I think they are enormously important shifts for child health, certainly the prevention agenda and also the community agenda as well, because what we should be doing is making sure that we keep children and young people with both acute and long-term conditions in the community for as long as possible and to make their lives as easy as possible. And I think AI is going to facilitate that. And, it's got its challenges. Kathy's already alluded to the challenges that we may have with AI in terms of data bias, ethics, consent, etc. But if we think of the opportunities, the idea of prevention, that AI in the future, with all the data that exists, if we can manage to clean that up, that we have the opportunity to create digital twins, this idea of creating digital personas that we can then understand health and disease. And that I'm emphasize that it must as well be health as well as disease, that we understand how we keep children and young people for as healthy as long as possible, and that we understand through those digital twin prototypes and personas how we manage disease going forward, how we diagnose it, how we treat it, how we ensure that we intervene at the most appropriate times to keep children in the community. And then the second part of that is the integration of digital pathways and remote monitoring. So if we integrate digital tools into whole pathways, we can enable early intervention, we can reduce unnecessary hospital visits, give families more control. And with the remote monitoring side of things, we can support children with long-term conditions in the community, we can digital symptom track, we can do virtual MDTs in a much more refined way than we're doing. So I think if we focused on those two areas, hospitals, community, and treatment to prevention, and we think about those rather than the technologies, what we then do is we shape the technologies available to our aspirations and what we're trying to achieve for children and young people.
Beautifully said, beautifully said. And segue so, you are going to love these clinical entrepreneurs who are coming up. Just in case people on the call don't know, the NHS Clinical Entrepreneur Programme is a free programme for anyone who works in the NHS, who's got an idea of improving patient care. And these, we could have chosen so many people, but we've got a range of clinical entrepreneurs who are just amazing, who are currently working in the NHS, or at least have been working in the NHS on the front line, understand the problems, and have then dedicated themselves to solving that particular solution. They are absolutely amazing. I'm going to go first up. We've got, and not only that, it's horrible. We are horrible. We're only giving them 2 minutes, and it's just unbearable. So it's quite important that after you've heard about them, that you please look up their websites, who they are, connect with them on LinkedIn or social media, and any of the entrepreneurs, if you put things in the chat so that people can look up those, and we will also do that for you, because these are great innovations, and I know that you've had certain successes with all of them, which are starting to emerge. So Mark, you're first. Mark Cox.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
I'm going to apologise for my horrible lighting. I'm in one of those booths with in the co-design, but
well,
2 minutes, so I'll jump straight into it.
Polly's going to start clapping, I think, near the end of the 2 minutes, but thank you, Mark.
Okie dokie. Hello, I'm Dr. Mark Cox. I'm an A&E doctor, and I'm at the Royal Free Hospital, and I'm also the co-founder of Orley Health. So I spend my working life seeing young people and then the adults they grow into at the point where emotional struggles have already escalated. So anxiety, school avoidance, self-harm, crisis, even suicide. And what strikes me isn't just how unwell they are, but how late we meet them as clinicians. Long before they reach hospital, families and schools have been struggling without tools that really stick. The problem isn't awareness, it's accessibility and, importantly, engagement. Most emotional support for children is screen heavy, clinical, or designed for adults. So if children don't engage, and if they don't engage, it doesn't work. Orley is a gamified, child-led platform for children aged 6 to 12 that helps them build healthy relationships with their emotions way before crisis. We do this by turning emotions into characters that children co-create, play with, and care for, both physically and digitally. Instead of asking children to analyze their feelings, we help them practice emotional regulation through play, habit, and storytelling. So really importantly, Orley works across home, school, and healthcare. Children engage through play. Parents and professionals are given insights and simple shared rituals they can use in everyday moments without needing to be therapists. And this builds that consistency around the child and reduces pressure on services later down the line. Over the past 2 years, we've co-created Orley with over 1,500 kids. We're now rolling out across multiple local authorities via schools, and we're preparing a project with Alder Hey Children's Hospital and Young Lives vs Cancer, looking at psychological safety using digital and physical Orleys for children on their paediatric oncology pathway. So my belief is simple. If we want to improve paediatric mental health outcomes, we must shift left, earlier, preventative, and engaging by design. So Orley isn't about replacing services, it's about building emotional capacity early, so fewer children ever need to meet someone like me in A&E. So I'd love to speak with Sheffield. The digital twin concept is something we have in our minds, and Cambridge's Children's Hospital, and anyone else interested in co-creating Orley. So if you want to know how we can support your trust or your setting or even your family, my email's on the slide and I'd love to chat. Thank you very much for having me.
Beautiful. Well done. That was what a lovely pitch. And you got so much in there, Mark. And I know you've been working on this so hard. It's a lovely, lovely solution. And it's great to see that it's getting there. Yeah, everyone's clapping. Brilliant. Well deserved. And I'm sorry to move on straight on, but I know that we're going to make sure we're putting lots in the chat so that people can engage with all of the clinical entrepreneurs and the websites. Beautiful pitch. Thank you so much, Mark. Nikki, hard to follow. Sorry about that. He's good, isn't he? But
yeah, thanks, Mark.
But Nikki, great to hear this. I love this solution. So thank you so much, and we'll give you your 2 minutes. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Thank you very much. So my name's Nikki Allen. I'm the CEO and founder of Haptivate, where we are improving lives through sensory innovation. I'm a paediatric physiotherapist, and I've spent 9 years working in a special school that specialised in autism. What we found there are tiptoe walkers, so children who walk high up on their tiptoes and rarely place their heels down. This affects 2% of the general population by the age of 5.5. This actually rises to 45% with those with autism. It can lead to musculoskeletal deformities, gait and balance issues, and chronic pain. Current treatments are invasive, expensive, and ineffective. Would you wear these? The children at Stanley Special School actually walk around barefoot rather than wearing them. They prevent you from running, jumping, hopping, reaching kind of your normal developmental milestones. 12 is the average age at which these children actually require surgery because they've lost range of movement at their ankles. The cost of this surgery in the UK alone exceeds £26 million annually. There's a real market need for cost-effective and engaging solutions. Our solution is embedded electronics into an insole that provides a sensory reward for the heel touching the ground. The sensory reward can be customised to the needs of the individual child and includes vibration, auditory and visual rewards. It also provides real-time feedback to the clinicians as to how effective it's been. This provides a therapy that the children can actually interact with and enjoy. So far, we've raised over £300,000 and we've just started our usability study. If you can imagine a world in which children are empowered to do their own therapy using their love of technology while still being able to run, jump and hop, then please come and speak to me. I'd love to hear from you. We're currently looking for support with our usability study, and I've actually just been to the Innovation Hub at Alder Hey today, so that was really cool to see that visual walk around. Thank you very much for your time.
Amazing, Nikki. And the thing that's amazing about this is the number of leg operations that are saved by this lovely innovation. So cost effective and so interesting for hospitals to hear about that innovation. Thank you, Nikki. Beautifully done.
Thank you, Tamsin.
It's great. Ed, Dr. Ed Cartwright, paediatrician and founder of Elixir AI. Are you good for your 2 minutes?
I am. That's great. Thank you, Tamsin. So we are obsessed with using AI to provide insights so that children can get a faster diagnosis, especially where parents have better access to information than anyone else. My background is as an academic paediatrician, and my co-founder has a PhD in computer vision and machine learning. Biliary atresia is a liver disease that affects newborns, and it's the commonest reason that a child needs a liver transplant. And if you diagnose it within 30 days, surgery can save the liver, but only 40% of UK children get that surgery in time because screening is failing them. The answer is surprisingly simple: the colour of a baby's stool, and it turns out that computers are even better than doctors at judging whether a child is at risk of this condition. There's no shortcut to building an evidence base, so we built software to make it easy to recruit children to clinical trials, enabling families to share photos and questionnaires. With help from Prof. Dimitri, we partnered with Birmingham Women and Children's Liver Unit with funding from Ipsen to launch the Dirty Nappy Study, the largest study of infant stool images in the world. And we're live across 3 NHS trusts, and so far we've recruited nearly 500 babies and collected over 2,500 images of dirty nappies. And in paediatric research, as many of you know, well, those are impressive numbers, especially as we're not halfway and we're doing this on a shoestring budget. From that data set, we're building a globally scalable AI algorithm to analyze the images, flagging at-risk babies early. All a family needs is a smartphone, and this could work anywhere in the world. We want every baby screened, and we're building the technology to make that happen. Those recruitment numbers, that's our software. We built a platform that makes it easy for families to participate and generates all the study documents from an idea in about 15 minutes. So a pitch for other people in the group here who are listening. If you've got a research question in child health or are planning a clinical trial, please email me at my email there, ed@elixir.ai.
Well done, Ed. You put in, and I can, it's amazing because this particular solution and saving the number of liver transplants is extraordinary. But I know that you have many projects, and I can definitely recommend people connecting with Ed regarding research projects, because he has got a huge amount of experience and understanding within that area and the expertise to be able to launch that. Thank you so much, Ed. That was amazing. Finn, it's been a while out since I've seen you. Dr. Finn Williams is founder and CEO of Rumi, and which is a fantastic solution. Finn, looking forward to hearing you talk about it.
Oh, hang on a second.
Sorry, didn't give you much time, did I?
Hold on 1 second. I have just literally lost my...
Did you have it ready for like 3 hours? And now
yeah, and then I had to press, what's the word? I had to press like to unmute myself and it disappeared. Right, I'm back.
Great. Perfect.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Dr. Finn Williams. By training, I'm a consultant clinical psychologist, but I'm also founder of Rumi. Now, the healthcare ecosystem, from discovery, development, and provision of treatments, relies on formal touchpoints with patients and participants to understand how they're functioning and whether or not treatments have been successful. But the challenge is that 60 to 80% of treatment outcomes are down to behaviour, and that behaviour is currently invisible. Now, what this means in practice is that dropout, non-adherence, and deterioration is only understood after it has happened, resulting in huge inefficiencies in treatment development and high-cost service utilisation, costing global healthcare $500 billion annually. And at the centre of this are people, invisible people, and none are more invisible than young people. Now, despite knowing that 75% of adult mental health conditions start before 24, 50% of them have comorbid physical conditions, and that young people don't report that they're struggling with huge downstream costs, we failed to find a solution that enables proper, proactive and efficient care. Until now. Rumi uses the world's most accessible technology, the smartphone, to build models of sleep, activity, in-person social contact, and problematic smartphone behaviour from raw sensor data. This data builds digital phenotypes and triggers just-in-time adaptive interventions, real-time compassionate nudges and conversational AI to help users stay well. Now, where users are currently under a trial or a care team, that behavioural intelligence is surfaced so that every part of their care team can see in real time when care needs to be escalated in efficient ways for better retention, quicker recovery and fewer crises. Now, we're currently working with pharma trial and personal support programs, but would love to connect with forward-thinking trusts and ICBs who appreciate the value of data infrastructure in clinical care decision-making and healthcare planning that provides a 26 times return on investment.
Amazing. And I think I'm just so pleased as a parent and as well as being a paediatrician to see these mental health solutions that are really scalable. From clinical entrepreneurs such as yourself and Mark and the amazing work that's being done, but it just being able to access it. So as you say, the children don't always mention it, and yet that's when their mental health journey starts is in childhood. Thank you so much, Finn. We've already put some of the links in, and please also, if you could engage in the chat so that people can go down that rabbit hole, that'd be great. Tim Allardyce is the next person speaking, and Tim is actually a serial entrepreneur, and he also has mentored many people on the clinical entrepreneur program because of his experience. But Tim's here to speak about Hoop. Thanks, Tim.
Hello, guys. I've got a really bad connection. I'm coming to you from Milano Cortina 2026, the Winter Olympic Games. I'm sat in my apartment and it's very bad. My connection's just run out, so I have 5G in it, so I'm hoping it holds up. Hoop is an amazing app. I bought it a few years ago to try and resurrect it. It was an amazing app. It was used by over 1 million families to advertise activities for kids. I took it on. I bought it from a company that bought it from the administrators. And my goal with Hoop is to advertise, essentially highlight and list healthy activities for children. Everybody knows we want to get kids off devices and apps and computer games, and there's a massive push for it at the moment. In Australia, they've now banned social media for under 16s, which is amazing. There's a smartphone-free childhood, which I've signed up to and have supported. 200,000 parents have said they won't get their kids a smartphone before the age of 14. And what we need is to get kids doing healthy activities. That's where Hoop comes in. You can go to hoop.co.uk. I'm going to put my LinkedIn in my details in the chat. Please connect. Thank you very much. And yes, please follow me.
Your 5G held out, Tim. It was fantastic.
It did. It's going. I swear it's going.
And it's so cool that you're doing the part of the Winter Olympics. It's incredible. And actually, this is not Tim's first innovation, but he's taken this on to be able to make sure that kids can access activities, and it's really open to lots of people. So it's such a simple one, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, and Polly's saying you did it in under a minute, Tim. So I think you get about 100.
Can I just tell you one more thing then?
Okay.
Is that in May I'm going to go and summit Mount Everest. So please follow me on my newly set up YouTube channel. I'll put it in the chat.
Amazing. Good luck, Tim. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Dr. Adrian Plunkett is speaking next about something that I felt has helped me, not just on my innovation journey, but also as in child health. Adrian, you're going to talk about how you founded Learning from Excellence.
Hello. Hi, great. Thanks for having me. So when Tamsin said, could you do a pitch at this, I interpreted that as pitching something new. So what I've done is I'm bringing to you a new idea that's actually been in my head for a while, but it's a very raw idea, but it's heavily related to Learning from Excellence. So I started Learning from Excellence over 10 years ago. It's a movement or a philosophy and a practice based on positive psychology in healthcare, and it's spread beyond healthcare. There's a whole community of practice now in Learning from Excellence. We have events, we have a small body of research that's growing. We do podcasts, including an interview with Tamsin, and a number of other kind of digital resources, and over 2,000 people have signed up. It's global. And along the way, we've collaborated with a few other similar movements like Civility Saves Lives, Kindness in Healthcare. And we realized there's this kind of growing group of other initiatives that are characterized by pro-sociality, appreciation of art and nature within healthcare, prioritizing humanity over tech, being positive, being inspiring. But these are all spreading through or existing through different inboxes that are very peripatetic and piecemeal throughout healthcare. So my pitch is, I think we should create a new digital space for all of these initiatives to be together, and they should be characterized by the same human relational qualities that the initiatives themselves are. This will be different from the usual digital spaces that you see in the corporate world on LinkedIn, Facebook, NHS Futures, etc. This is going to be something beautiful and creative and inspiring. It's going to be called, I think, Culture Companion and possibly Culture Commons. That is up for grabs. And I'm here to pitch for reflections, for tech and design help. I have a small amount of funding. I'm looking for grant ideas as well. That's 2 minutes. I'll stop.
That is very exciting. I love that. Not just about learning from excellence, but how it's going to move forward and how it moves into digital. I think people will immediately be interested in connecting. Can you make sure that you put in your LinkedIn and
yes.
your social media handles and things so that we can all follow? Yeah, I very much appreciated the Learning from Excellence and thoughts that has helped me think about the compassion within healthcare as we move forward with different tech and digital. So I think that it's lovely to have something that is a space for that. So thank you for that, Adrian. It's great. I'm going to move straight on to Dr. Nazima Pathan, founder of My PQ Story.
That slide in actually, but I don't know what's happening. may not have worked. That's fine. Right, I'm Nazima. I'm a PICU consultant, paediatric intensive. Every shift, families arrive at their worst moment in life. Their child's critically ill, they're terrified, and we're throwing medical jargon at them, or they're trying to process their child will survive. When families leave PICU, what do they take home? Fragmented memories, hard understood conversation, and phone photos they can barely look at. And this matters clinically. There's around 17,000 children a year admitted to PICU, and 30 to 50% of parents develop PTSD. This PICU follow-up is patchy. Parents struggle to have good trauma-informed community care. My PICU Story is a digital platform already live and in pilot test. Provides mental health resources, a clinical glossary, and a sibling guide. And parents can document a child's PICU journey in real time with photos, updates, and milestones, creating a secure chronological journey that they can access during admission and forever. Many PICUs already do this in analogue form, but it's inconsistent and places burdens on overstretched frontline staff. But by digitising and scaling this, it can give every family holistic care. And crucially, we're working upstream. Community psychological services intervene after trauma is embedded, often months post-discharge. And there's robust evidence that early narrative during traumatic event reduces PTSD. And by providing families with cost-effective mental health resources in real time, we may reduce demand for intensive psychological intervention in the first place. We're partnering with Southampton and Alderhay PICUs to run a multi-site evaluation so we can examine population effectiveness and scalability. The app aligns with the NHS plans for hospital community, analog to digital, and sickness to prevention. We'd love engagement with other units, endorsement, partnership to ensure every parent can benefit from the app and take control of their child's PICU. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nazima. I think what I love about this is around the thinking about what the parents and the family need. I think that's something that is vastly important within paediatrics that gets neglected easily, and this just reduces trauma and is a cost saving on top of that. And amazing to see Alderhay and all these, and Cambridge Children's also supporting. So yeah, incredible. I know that we're running out of time, but I just really want to introduce you to these final clinical entrepreneurs. And in fact, the next founder is a patient entrepreneur and mother. And so Funmi Vanessa Ulam, we would love to hear from you. I'm sorry to be running slightly over for everyone.
No problem. Hi, Tam. Thank you so much for inviting me. So hi, everyone. My journey into this space started about 13 years ago when our newborn son was diagnosed with sickle cell, which is a genetic, life-threatening blood disorder. And I can say that nothing prepares you for that. There's no manual for parenting, and there's definitely no manual for parenting through the amount of pain that we saw, the fear that he had, and just over, hundreds of hospital admissions. So managing his health at home was exhausting, writing down symptoms, balancing medications, appointments, school, just navigating life. And as he got older, it got harder. The weight grew heavier, and I realized we were missing a trick and that technology could potentially help us. So I spent my whole career in tech, and I run a charity for kids with sickle cell, and I've seen the same struggles echoed in family after family. Did lots of research, found out that more than 30% of NHS child admissions are due to chronic conditions, and also poor medication adherence drives about 25% of paediatric emergency visits, and it wastes millions in avoidable care. And that's why we built the Eli app, which is a digital companion using AI, behavioral science, and gamified rewards with brands to support children with chronic conditions. And our goal is to support these children and young people as they grow and transition into adult healthcare services. And our first target condition is sickle cell. So early feedback from our work with the Evelina Children's Hospital has been powerful. Families tell us children feel more supported, motivated, and more confident in control of their health. And parents also feel better supported. We're really proud of what we've started, but we're just at the beginning. We need support to scale Eli and reach more children. We're looking for innovative trusts to help us validate and scale. And I loved your point, Tam, that it's easier to build a child than it is to mend a broken adult. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's just lovely. And I know how much energy has gone into that, and it's just extraordinary. and so lovely to see, having treated children with sickle cell over a long period of time, 25 years. And thank you for being in this space. I'm sorry to quickly move on to, we put all your details for me, but please add more. Will Jackson has the most wonderful innovation as well. Will, are you there?
I am here. I think hopefully you can see me.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Sorry, there's too many people on my screen. Yeah, thank you, Will. I would love to hear. I know you're the founder of Play Physio, and what you've managed to achieve has been remarkable. But thanks for your.
Wow, thank you. Here we go then. So my name's Will Jackson. I want to share how we've solved a problem that affects every respiratory patient, which is treatment adherence. So as a parent of a child with cystic fibrosis, I've watched my daughter struggle with daily airway clearance therapy for years, hours of treatments, endless arguments about technique, and no way to know if she was actually doing it properly. The data tells a story that we probably all know, that adherence to respiratory therapy sits below 50% across all conditions. Poor technique compromises efficacy. We have no objective evidence of what patients actually do at home, and this leads to preventable exacerbations, admissions, and declining lung function. So whether it's CF, bronchiectasis, post-surgical recovery, the challenge is identical. How do we ensure patients perform quality treatment consistently, independently at home? So we've developed Play Physio, a gamified monitoring system that transforms this challenge. Our sensor attaches to existing therapy devices, and it uses machine learning to monitor both adherence and technique and quality in real time. But here's the breakthrough. We gamify the experience. Patients play games while doing treatment. We make it engaging rather than burdensome. We have a clinical dashboard that gives you objective data on every treatment session, adherence rates, quality, and trends over time. Finally, evidence-based respiratory therapy. Our NIHR-funded randomized controlled trial with Alder showed 3 times improvement in adherence, 3 times improvement in technique, 90% completion rate with 88% patient satisfaction. So statistically significant improvements maintained throughout the study. We're now gathering inquiries from clinicians everywhere, and we're looking for research partners to help expand our evidence base across respiratory conditions. So whether you're working with CF, bronchiectasis, COPD, or post-surgical recovery, we can provide the monitoring technology to generate the evidence that enables the research that your patients need.
Beautifully done, Will, and so exciting, and to see that there is, from moving childcare from difficult treatments and management processes that children don't want to do into ones that they do want to do. And that's, I think, what a lovely example of how exciting child health can be, and proper use of digital. And again, lovely to hear Alder mentioned, and very exciting, I think, for other NHS trusts to think about what this can bring data-wise on top of treatment. It is such a lovely innovation, and I know how hard you've worked on it. Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Saran, are you there? We've got 2 more. If everyone could just has 2 more in them. Saran is the founder of Enrich My Care, which is such a great one to hear about. Saran, are you there?
Yes. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, lovely. Thanks, Saran.
I've done lots of pitches. This is my first pitch from my garage converted office. Anyway. Hi, I'm Saran Muttaya. I'm the founder of Enrich My Care. I'm also a pediatric physiotherapist with over 20 years of experience in the NHS. So what is Enrich My Care? It's a simple but powerful platform that connects people, data, and clinical insights to help improve care for children with long-term conditions. This includes autism, ADHD, cerebral palsy, and epilepsy. As we all know, managing the needs of children with complex long-term conditions is extremely challenging, both for families and school, as well as the clinical teams. At the heart of the problem is care coordination. Coordinating care across multiple professionals, organizations, and agencies is challenging. For clinical teams carrying large caseloads with long waiting times, it's more difficult when a child presents with multiple complex conditions. This is where Enrich My Care comes in. It's a platform that acts as a golden wheel, connecting the dots across professionals and the organizations. Also, importantly, with bespoke tools, the app helps capture rich observations and data right from school and home and present it in a structured and actionable manner for faster and better clinical decisions. This helps with making appointments much more meaningful and also proactive. Enrich My Care is currently being used in multiple NHS hospitals within multiple pediatric pathways, and we are excited to see some positive outcomes. In autism and ADHD, the waiting times have come down by 33%. It's a huge waiting time across the country, so this is really exciting. And also the quality of referrals have improved. And also, more importantly, the patient satisfaction has increased from 63 to 91% within a short span of time. Please contact me to learn more about our work and see how we can support other services around the country. Thank you for the time and opportunity. Thank you.
Sarah, well done for thinking about chronic conditions, because that's just something that we all need someone to think about and to bring that solution in. And I know you've been working on this for years, but it's been exciting to watch how it's progressed. And wonderful, Dr. Chris Evans has managed to join us from some work he's currently doing in America. He's just joined, he's last but not least, and has the very successful innovation called Little Journey. Chris, do you want to take us away and at the end here?
Thank you so much, and I hope you can hear me. It's not sunny in Florida. Iguanas are falling from the tree, hibernation, so it's quite chilly. I'd like to be back home. So my name is Chris Evans. I'm the founder and CEO of Little Journey. By background, I'm an anaesthetist and a researcher. Some of you may know us from our work in the NHS, where we're live in about 60 to 70 hospitals. But actually, what I came to talk about today was the other side of our business, and how for other entrepreneurs, I think it's really useful, the approach that we've taken. So we're a patient engagement and retention platform, and we use behavior change to improve and clinical trial adherence, retention, efficiency. And we do this by providing a digital support solution that's tailored to children, adolescents, caregivers, as well as adults. And we support them through their sort of logistical, psychological, emotional needs about taking part in a trial and undergoing a healthcare procedure. And it means that people attend their appointments, they engage and are compliant with their care, and they stay in a clinical trial to its end. So we tailor our solution to individuals' cognitive levels, their needs, and we configure it as well as hospital patient pathways and clinical trial protocols. In terms of impact, we've shown that £42 per patient saving for families having surgery using our solution, and that's driven through things like efficiency improvements. And in global commercial clinical trials, we've shown a 45% reduction in participant dropout, and that saves pharma up to about £10 million per year, per trial that they run. Looking back to when I started the Clinical Entrepreneur Program in 2016, one of my biggest sort of learnings and successes is what makes Little Journey, I think, from other solutions that's taken us from sort of an early stage into later on in scaling. And it's about this sort of multi-channel approach. I think working in the NHS alone for the type of product that we had would make it unsustainable. And developing effective solutions in clinical trials is really difficult when you have small patient sizes, and long study lengths, and you have fixed solutions with ethics. And so what we've been able to do is have that sort of multi-arm approach where we use healthcare as that sort of clinical front door. It lets us do innovation, it lets us test sizes, validate impact, and then generate this behavior change data to develop our personalized care algorithms. And this feeds into our sort of pharma clinical trial arm, and that provides the majority of our revenue. And I think without that sort of dual multi-channel approach, we wouldn't be sustainable. And so any innovator, I beg you to think about that long-term scalability and sustainability. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So many insights there. And thank you so much for joining from America. I am so sorry to have overrun. I need to work on my timing, as is always my New Year's resolution, and I still haven't managed it. I wanted to ask everybody so many more questions, but just to get everybody together in the same space and to celebrate what everybody has done and to realize what amazing innovations are out there and what amazing innovations are being implemented in hospitals. I think we can be hopeful because it's a hard job, it's hard to implement, but it gives me so much hope that the people that are on this call are part of it. I know that everybody seemed to be connected already to wonderful organisations. So please connect with each other, and we can look forward to following what the Royal College are doing and great hospitals in this area. We hope to do something similar. We'd love any feedback. Please go and have your dinner. And thank you very much for staying with us tonight. Thank you, all of you. Good night.
Well done, Tamsin, for pulling it all together.